All right, good afternoon, everybody. Today I will be going over how to use gamma exposure to trade options and how you can also use those same levels in order to be able to trade futures. Okay, so let's start here. Where I initially start is because I want to give you guys an easier way to be able to understand this, so that way you're not spending a lot of time trying to decipher the information itself on your own. Okay, so one of the first things that I would do is that when I wake up in the morning, I turn on my Thinkorswim. You can download, you can get a free Thinkorswim account through Charles Schwab. Okay, let's just start there. You don't need any cash to be able to utilize the version of Charles Schwab for your gamma, open interest, and volume. Okay. The other one that I'm using that I start incorporating into the data is also Quanta Data. You do get a 7-day free, and then after that, it is $70 a month. Okay. So right now, currently, I do have my few alerts turned off right now because they are going to start making noise and triggering. But let's start here. Okay. So initially, what I do is I come onto my Thinkorswim. Okay, and I'll go here. It's located in charts. So once you go to charts and then you click on product depth, okay, it will give you your gamma levels. Sometimes you will also have to input what you want for the lower part, which would be the open interest and the volume. So typically on Mondays, okay, I want to just start off by telling you guys this, so then that way you know this, okay. Typically on Mondays, you'll just be able to get the open interest, the gamma levels, but it won't give you exact open interest or the volume until the market actually starts. So typically, because I like to trade 0 DTE, I turn off all series and I click on the day options market. So then that way we can get the total call, and we can also get the total put open interest, and as well as the gamma levels, okay, which is recognized by the spike. Okay, so once I do that, then because I use a MacBook Pro, they do have a feature where you can screenshot everything. If you don't have that, then you may have to utilize your phone from your camera to be able to take pictures of the gamma for calls, the open interest for calls, as well as for puts and gamma and open interest as well. Okay, so typically what I'll do is I'll press my shift command 5. So if you have a Apple computer, you'll be able to do it that way. Okay, I click on capture, then I go over here to ChatGPT, and then I slide it right in here. Okay, then I will go and I will change this from open interest to volume. Okay, now we have also the call volume and then also the put volume. Okay, now like I said, remember on Mondays you won't be able to get this until the market actually opens. I would suggest that you wait at least about 15 minutes or so to let it really kind of start get going on Mondays. Tuesdays through Fridays, you will be able to get the open interest prior to market open. Okay, volume, sometimes you will still have to wait a minute until after the market opens. Letting the first 5-10 minutes go by shouldn't really have that much of a big effect on Mondays. On Tuesdays, then you kind of get the data and then you can kind of go ahead and get everything started. So I click that again, capture, put this here, then I will go over to your Quanta Data. Okay, your Quanta Data, it gives you the net gamma exposure by strike. It also gives you the interval map for your GEX. It gives you the heat map to let you know where the most volume or the most money is currently sitting at on these levels. Okay, and it also gives you the net delta exposure by strike as well. Okay, instead of you trying to decipher all this, all right, do the same thing. All right, take the picture, grab it, slide in the chat, and then we can look at our chart. In fact, let me redo that in all honesty, because that was for SPX and this actually needs to be for QQQ because that's where we started off at. So my apologies there. Let's punch in QQQ and we have to go to each one. QQQ. Okay, so once I have all that data, then I will go typically. So like if we're in the pre-market and it is something like QQQ, IWM, then you know we can see exactly where price is. So typically what I do is once the market opens up or the pre-market is there Tuesday through Friday, then I will also enter, in fact I didn't slide that in there, my fault there. Let's grab that, slide this picture in here, and then I will put current price 676.15. Right, and we know it's going to move and stuff like that, just whatever you got it clicked on right there. So give or take, you know, it doesn't really have to be spot on, but as close as you can get it to wherever current price is, right? So then once we enter that prompt, and I'm going to give you guys the prompt that I created, so that way it can give you the same exact data that I'm currently getting, and then that will give you a little bit more of an advantage as far as when we're looking for levels where price can reject, go through, where price may be getting pinned at, and anything like that. Okay. So as it populates here, it's going to start giving us a bunch of information that we can utilize in order to make our trading decisions for the day. Okay. Now, usually I start inputting this data Tuesday through Friday, around about 8:50 in the morning. So that way I can have my game plan as the market is initially opening. But also I do utilize this to update probably every half hour or so after that. So if there's any changes in direction, right, then I can honestly see where those changes are coming in at. Okay, so right now we got current price where it's at. Overall gamma environment, strong negative gamma. Okay, negative gamma means that price can actually move. I will also put a little bit of information on that in here in the video, where you'll be able to actually go to the chat GPT, so then that way it can explain all these things to you guys, so then that way you're informed, right? But strong negative gamma means the price can actually move, right, from wherever it is. When you see positive gamma, you're going to see mean reversion, which means that typically what'll happen is that they are selling the rips and buying the dips. And what that means is, as price is starting to move up rapidly, that's when the dealers will typically sell because they're hedging. And when price drops and dips down into your imbalances, your fair value gaps, whatever you decide to call them or want to call them, that's when they are buying, right? So then we are buying the dips and we are selling the rips, all right? And price will be oscillating kind of up and down, okay? So it will give you this full report as far as everything that it's doing. QQ is operating in a clear negative gamma environment. It will give you the net GEX, the net DEX. What does it favor, right? Progression update, right? The QQ rallied roughly from 668, 670 into the 679 area earlier, but failed to overcome the major 680 negative gamma wall. It has since rotated back to 676.15. It will give you the gamma flip / acceleration alert, right? To let you know when is it in a transition zone, right? It will give you if price is above, if price is below, right? What exactly you want to be looking at. The framework I'm going to give you is also going to give you a dealer hedging roadmap, right? That was going to tell you defense levels, right? It's going to give you pinning areas. It'll give you the strongest gamma walls. It'll give you critical break levels, support and resistance levels. I say you guys can go through all this yourselves. I'm not going to sit up here and read everything. Okay, but you can pause this video also as well if you want to read it. It will give you the key gamma levels. Very strong, major overhead, negative gamma wall, failed to break out above area, right? It will give you other very strong areas, moderate areas. It will give you dealer positioning. Its Quanta Data profile indicates the dealers are likely operating with significant short gamma exposure, although the screenshots cannot independently identify every dealer's actual inventory. Expected hedge response as QQQ falls. Hedging may require additional selling. As QQQ rises, hedging may require additional buying. This creates trend reinforcement instead of stabilizing dip buying rip selling normally associated with positive gamma. Okay. It will give you the open interest, right? It will give you the options volume breakdown. It will give you the areas where price either is getting drawn to, and then it will also give you, if it is in that situation, right, where pinning zones would be at, right? The primary magnets, your secondary magnets, your barriers, okay? Expected behavior with a percentage gauge to give you an idea of what you should be looking for, what targets you should be also looking for, right? An invalidation, reclaim and hold above area. Okay, it will give you another situation for pinning and chop with 35% here, right? Bullish reclaim with 20% here. It will give you a primary outlook, right? The highest probability late session path is continued pressure against 675 through 677, acting as the immediate battle zone. A confirmed loss of 675 favors accelerated movement through 673, 672 towards 670. A reclaim and hold above 677 is required to neutralize that outlook and reopen 680. It will give you a gamma vacuum. Okay, it will give you a confidence score, an entry decision matrix, and a trading checklist. Okay, so now what I want to show you guys from here is what happened earlier today on QQQ, and I'll give you SPX as well. Okay, after that information was entered. So let's go to our QQQ gamma profile analysis from earlier today. And then also, as I'm doing this, I will also turn back on the alerts. You may get a few going off, but just to kind of show you guys. Okay, that was my current update. Let's find where we were at this morning. Okay, so as you see here, today at 8:51 a.m., right? I also entered because it only gives me, as I was explaining to you guys, the put, the call, the open interest for calls and also for puts, right? So this was the screenshot that I inputted it into this morning on July 28th, 2026, as you see down here. And you also see up here, Tuesday, July 28th, right? Okay, so, and I inputted that, and then as you see over here, I also inputted all the information that I gathered this morning, you know what I'm saying, as well from Quanta Data, right? So once I inputted that information at 8:41 a.m., come on, yep, 8:51 about a.m., sorry about that, and currently price was at 677.22. Okay, so it gave me a good breakdown, which I also put into the Discord group, that we had mixed with a negative gamma bias. This profile is different from yesterday because I keep using the same profile analysis, so that way I have all the data from weeks and weeks before, prior to that. Okay, so it gave us that this profile is different from yesterday because price is below the largest call. Gamma concentration 690, 695. Net GEX remains heavily negative. Dealer behavior bias, this is my new section. Okay, and then as it gave us our dealer hedging roadmap, our primary resistance was at 680, 685, 690, 695, largest call gamma wall. Our primary support, okay, which is key, right, was 675. Then if low 670s, if 675 fails, okay. It gave us our gamma structure, all right, current price, well below it. That means large positive gamma is no longer acting as an immediate magnet. Instead, it's functioning as overhead resistance. Put gamma is concentrated in the high 670s to low 680s. If price remains below 680, the stabilizing influence from that area is reduced. Right? Our open interest breakdown, where is the open interest at for calls, where is the open interest at for puts. Our quant data confirmation as far as what's going on, our net gamma, net delta, our heat map, our expected behavior, case scenario 1, trades below 680, rallies into 680, 685, attracts sellers, drifts back towards 675. Our bullish scenario, our bearish breakdown, our primary outlook. At 677.22, the highest probability path is expect rallies into resistance to be sold unless buyers can reclaim 680 and maintain acceptance above it. okay, our gamma vacuum, our confidence score, okay? So now as we go back and we check our chart from this morning on QQQ, we see when price opened up, it was kind of already dropping down and falling, right? This is at 9 o'clock, 9:30. We opened up, we lost 675, okay? So this is our 30-minute time frame right here on QQQ. This is our 5-minute time frame right here on QQQ, right? So on our first 5-minute candle, we lost 675, right? Price was trading at 674.51. Price pulled back, wicked off of our VWAP right here, and started pushing back down, okay? Letting the first 5 minutes pass, there's nothing wrong with that. Let it pop back up, pull up, and then fall back. Like I said, we were transitioning into the negative gamma, right? So we lost 675 as it said, right? It pulled back and then we pushed lower and then we got all the way back down here into those 668 area, okay? Now we did have some pullbacks up into after we hit our 670 area, which was our target, right, that it gave us, okay? So if we go back, then we can look and we will see right here, primary support 675, then the low 670s if 675 fails, right? It already told us this right before the market even opened. Remember, 8:51 a.m. we already had this data. So now we're just looking for a price to respond to the data that we have, and then that's when we base our execution off of that, okay? So it was mixed negative gamma bias, right? So negative means price can actually move. Positive means that price will actually can either get pinned or it will be rotational back and forth, mean reversion setups, okay? So when we look at our chart and we see that price is already kind of breaking down in the pre-market here, right? Opened up, dropped, broke below our level, 675. Then it wicked back up, pushed back down some more, right? Until we hit our target of 670, right? Where it gave us. Okay, now after that, right, we had our directional bar. If we look here on the 30-minute time frame, if we're using our strat indicators, and I just have this stuff for like illustration and plus also as well, the strat is a good tool to utilize because if we're using our strat assistant, I turn my colors off on the strat assistant. I really kind of primarily use it. So then that way I can know exactly what the 30-minute, the hour, the 4-hour, the daily, the weekly, the month, and the quarter is doing, okay? My main things that I love to utilize is the VWAP, which is that's our blue dotted line that you see across the chart right here. Typically what that is that you typically are buying above the VWAP and selling below the VWAP. What I'm actually looking for and utilizing is the levels, right? Once I get the data, then I'm using the levels to kind of see which direction do I want to be trading in. Is the direction that price is moving in aligning with the data that I received? That's why I also mentioned that I will update the data probably around about every half hour or so to see if anything has changed or any significant changes has occurred, okay? So price dropped for the first 30 minutes, roughly about over $6 move to the downside. If you would have took it at the trigger, then you could have caught a $5 move to the downside from 675, and it closed at 669.39. Okay, our next candle to open up, price pushed down. Okay, and you will see what will be a fail to a rejection also as well, coming once price tried to push lower, rejected, push back up, wicked off of the VWAP, drop back down. Okay, so as we see here, right, if we go into our smaller time frame, right, price pushed up on our 10 o'clock candle, right, it rejected, pushed back down, and then it kind of consolidated a little bit right here, right? It did find a little bit of direction, but not very long. That's only a couple cents from here to here. It was almost an inside bar, right? Price wicked, then it started to push back up, right? So when you start seeing things like this happen and it's not trading lower and we've already kind of hit our target, which was already marked out. In fact, let me turn back on our my alerts. All right, like I said, it will start making some noise, so just excuse that, right? But you see right here, I had my 675 line right here already marked. So once it triggered and went off this morning, right? Then I already knew, okay, my alerts have triggered, because once you get this information, then you need to start setting alerts on price, where you just come over to the side, you click the plus sign, add alert on QQQ at 675.01. I think mine was actually at 674.99. But you add those alerts and then add a secondary alert. So then that way you're at least getting multiple alerts to alert you, to get your attention that, hey, price is going in the direction that you had seen, right? I already had my 670 to know that, hey, this is our target where we're going here, right? And then if it drops any lower, we could potentially go lower. But if you did get in something, or this particular trade that went lower than you've seen it rejected, okay, it's rejecting and it's not getting accepted lower than 670. So from that point, right, what you may want to do is, which I typically do, is then we go back and we gather more data, right? Because this will steadily be changing as price is moving. You see these numbers right here, 897, then it went to 989, then it went to 196, 246. That's going to constantly keep moving. I have this in my background at all times. All right, so that way when I need to capture the data and then put it into ChatGPT, it's readily right there. Okay, so then after that, we went back and we uploaded our new updates, right? Price is currently at 671.25. Okay, so when I put in the price was currently at 671.25, that was 671.25. That was somewhere probably around about this area. So that was probably about 1040-ish, right? Or it could have been earlier. I'm not exactly sure because it doesn't have the timestamp on there. But once I input that in there again, and I also put the pictures from Quanta Data as well, okay, this update is actually strengthening the bearish thesis from your previous upload. Okay, so it had to be from a little bit earlier. Okay, price has now declined from 677 to 671.25 without reclaiming the important resistance levels. This tells us dealers have not stepped in aggressively enough to force mean reversion. This is exactly the kind of confirmation we're looking for. All right, overall gamma environment, negative gamma dominating. Structure still shows net GEX around negative 7.1 billion. Okay, dealer behavior bias updated. Okay, rallies being sold with a probability. All right, mean reversion earlier 35%, now 25%. The reasoning behind that: trend continuation, dealer hedging roadmap. All right, immediate support, current area, then 665. We couldn't get down to that area. We got a little bit close, but we couldn't get down exactly to that area. All right, okay, so that way we're getting the data, right? Instead of us trying to look and analyze it. Let me stop this right quick. Instead of us looking and trying to analyze it, it's actually giving us the data. And if you are using your phone, which sometimes I'll typically do, I will go to my phone after inputting this data from my screen. But if you're just straight using your phone, okay, it has a little button that has a speaker on your ChatGPT on the bottom there, and you can play it, right? You can press play, and then you can have it start talking to you, and then you can actually listen to it while it's reading it out to you while you're still paying attention to the charts as well. Okay. Also, because I did forget to mention that, you have to pay the $20 for the premium, I believe it is, or plus. Yeah, ChatGPT Plus. That way you can upload more pictures at once, right? Otherwise, you're only going to be limited to a certain amount. So pay the $20 is worth it, because it's giving you data as quickly as you want to actually access it. Okay. So here, once price started to recover and started to push back up from that 670 level, then I wanted to get more information, right, as far as what was going on. All right, so if we scroll down, we'll see that I think, okay, well, right here I had it was at 668.15, right? Gave us another update as far as what was going on. And if I'm seeing that price is starting to recover, then now I'm looking for a possible mean reversion, which this is where it happened at, right? From here, right? 1020, we're seeing price go up, right? They sold it, pushed it down, they bought it, went up a little bit, got sold off back here. They bought the dip, pushed price back up, right? So that's when you will start seeing price transfer from negative gamma back into positive gamma, right? Positive gamma, as I said, right? Selling the rips, buying the dips. Dip back down, they bought it back up, sold the rip up here, dip back down, bounced off of VWAP, they bought the dip right here, pushed price back up, sold the rip, bought into this fair value gap right here, pushed price back up, consolidated around a little bit, right? Sold the rip, bought the dip, pushed price back up, sold the rip, bought it up, got sold off again, and I was just kind of transitioning around for the remainder of the day. Okay, now if we go and we look over here at SPX, right? Let's go here and pull up our SPX data for today as well. Okay. Okay, that was my update. Okay, and I want you guys to really pay attention here too as well, because as I said, you can get this data before the market even opens, right? And then sometimes even only having limited data, right, it can still give us a roadmap of what to expect, right? And then we can update it as the market opens and we get the actual data. I'm sorry, this thing is acting a little bit crazy. In the library using their Wi-Fi. Sometimes in these private rooms, it typically will act a little weird sometimes, but I'm in here so it doesn't pick up any background noise. Okay, come on, chat. This is okay. Here we go. 8:50 a.m. Okay, 8:50 a.m. I grabbed the open interest in the gamma from Thinkorswim, and I grabbed the information from Quanta Data as well. Okay, it just gave me where current price was. Okay, so by just giving me that, because you know we don't have pre-market for SPX, right? It gave me the most important change. The SPX opened exactly between the major support and resistance level. The next cluster 74.25 through 74.30, slightly negative bias, right, compared with yesterday. Gamma flip level above 74.25. This is today's key transition level. Above 74.25, how dealers should be acting. Below 74.25, how dealers should be acting. Okay. Our gamma environment, positive characteristics, negative characteristics. Our dealer hedging roadmap, dealer defense zones, primary support 7400. This remains the strongest dealer defense area. Secondary support 7395, 7390. Right, our resistance areas are where they are with resistance, right? So if we just take a minute, we just go back here to SPX, right? Okay, this morning it opened up, wicked, it dropped, it broke below 7400. As you see, I had that alert marked right here, broke down to 7396, and it wicked and it bounced off of also previous day low, but 7382. All right, that next candle, it pushed back up, almost closed above 7400, right? Bounced, pushed back up, and then later on in the day, right, you see I already had gamma flip level, right? It was marked out already, so that way we knew once it broke here, then we would flip and we would be transitioning in order to try to target 74.50. Now remember, these levels don't necessarily always have to get hit. Sometimes it may reject before, sometimes it may push to it and reject from there, right? But in our profile that we got, right, these were our secondary supports, which it broke the first support and the second support. It bounced, it recovered, right, 7400, right, and then it went to target 74.25 and then 74.50. Okay. Our heat map, our expected behavior, all right, for our targets, our primary outlook, and our morning battle plan, okay? Best long location, hold or reclaim 74.25, right, with our targets. Best short location, rejection to 74.25 or confirm break below 7400, targets 73.90 and 73.75. Okay, now when we go back and look, we didn't get to 73.75, but we got pretty close. Okay, once we broke that 7400 level. Now let's see here. This is on our 5-minute time frame. It actually opened below, pushed up, rejected. Had an inside bar here also on the 5-minute, which was also was right there at our 7400 level. Broke through 74, broke through 73.96, right? Broke down, pushed up. After it rejected, we had absorbed. Like I said, it did hit off of the previous day's low, which are also levels. That's why I do have that indicator, and I'll show you guys the indicators that I have and I'm currently using as well. Kind of a lot of back and forth, buying the dips, selling the rips, buying the dips, selling the rips, buying the dips, rip back up, sold off, pushed back down, dipped, bought again, sold the rips, and as you see, same thing. Sold the rip up, bought the dip down, sold the rip up, dip down, bought the rip up, pushed up, pushed up, pushed up, sold the rip, bought the dip, then it started to rip up. Broke our gamma flip level, all right, that we already had pinned out, right? Ripped up, sold the rip, bought the dip, pushed back up, right? So that's why I say uploading and re-uploading these levels will help you, because as you see, that's all they did. Sold the rips, bought the dips, sold the rip up, bought the dip down, sold the rip up, bought the dip down, sold the rip up till we hit our target, push back down, same thing. That's all it's doing, is transitioning back and forth, buying rips, selling dips. So it may work for you if you're a scalper. It may work for you if you're an intraday trader, to kind of be able to have this data to be able to utilize it to see what kind of environment we're operating in. Are we operating in a positive gamma environment? Are we operating in a negative gamma environment? Also to go back and check to see if these things have changed and what type of updated data is it going to give you. Okay, if you go back, then you will see after I did that, I went back later. This was 9:44. Actually, sometimes it'll give you the time that I put in there, sometimes it won't, right? But it'll give you the gamma flip alert updated. Gamma environment has now deteriorated. This morning, this was the pivot, that was the support. 74.25 failed, 7400 failed. Price is trading now at 73.92, because I always put where the current price is, right? Dealers are no longer defending 7400. Negative gamma confirmed. Okay, as remember, it shot down, then it did eventually start coming back up, right? So I say, if you're unsure, then upload it, take the screenshots again, plug it in the chat, let chat give you the data instead of you trying to sit down and analyze and figure out where you're taking time away from the charts. And then if you're interested in hearing it, whether you're on this screen or your phone, like I said, if you want to hear it and you do have an Apple computer like me, then you can just click here where it says more actions, and then you could click read aloud, and then once you pick read aloud,
GEX intraday update.
It'll start
Current
talking
price
to you.
73992.50. This is a significant update because the market has moved below every major support level we discussed
then
earlier.
You can go back and watch the
Gamma
chart.
flip alert.
Exactly
Gamma
why it's
environment
talking.
has now deteriorated.
Okay.
Earlier this morning,
and then it'll give you the whole
74.20.
entire breakdown of everything, so that way you can look at the chart and still hear everything, and then go over the data that way. Okay, but if you look at it here, right, sold the rip, bought the dip, but as on a micro scale on the 5-minute, you see it was a lot more. I know a lot of times some people like using the strat for breaks of highs and lows of previous candles, Why I like using this technique better, and I'm talking about as far as the gamma levels and knowing what type of operation, um, type of situation that we're operating in, is because if we go back and we look at earlier in the day, right? So right here, this was the 10 o'clock candle. This was the 10:30 candle. Okay, I'm going to temporarily remove my alerts because they're going to be different in the morning anyway. All right, let's remove that, and let's also grab a horizontal line, and let's just drop that horizontal line right here. We're going to change the color so that way we can get a different look. Okay, we got this line right here when this candle broke this high right here on the 10:30 candle. All right, now on the 10:30 candle, right, this was the 10:35 candle that opened up, and if you would have waited until this broke the high right here on the 30-minute time frame, right, then it got rejected right there as well, right? As soon as you would have bought it, you're not looking at a smaller scale to reject it. Once it got above here, you've been up for a second, $2-3 move. Then you went from 74.05, and then it wicked all the way back down here about $7 almost away. All right. So instead of doing that normal type of environment we're operating in, right? If I have my 30-minute chart up and I have my 5-minute chart up as well, and that's how I do trade, right? So I can get some type of information as far as direction, right? But it dipped down, then it started pushing back up. So as I seen here on the 10:30 candle, when it dipped down, knowing that we were in a positive gamma environment, right? And I knew that they were going to sell the rip and buy the dip, I could either bought down here, and I would have never been in the negative as I seen price reclaim the VWAP and start pushing back up, right? Or I could have waited a few minutes, let this candle close to see exactly what it was going to do, right? Which it rejected up there, and then bought here once price opened up, pulled back down, wicked right here, and then started pushing back up. I could have bought here, and then that would have been a better entry, right? Bought the dip, waited till it got up, could have sold the rip here or possibly here. All depends, you know what I'm saying, on your risk management. I say if you would have bought here, and even if I would have waited until it got right here above that absorption bubble, right, then I would have got in at 74.02, let's just say. I could have sold the rip up here at 74.16. On SPX, that would have been a $14 move to the upside. Wait for them to sell the rip. Got back down here, bought the dip here, around about the same area almost, and then caught it back up, right? Even if I didn't want to necessarily take this one, then I could have waited and let it dip back down again. Started showing me put back, it was pulling back up. Bought the dip still, and then waited until it pushed back up again, right? Positive gamma environments are going to respond like this all the time. Negative gamma environments are going to respond in a negative gamma situation. Like I said, I will put some information more in here so that way you can look at it, check it out. You can expound on it if you choose to, or either just look at the data that I'm going to input into this video. I am going to put this video by itself, but then also for any traders that are kind of new to trading, or anybody that I personally know that may want to get more on this information as far as how to read the price action, knowing the candles, as well as what is mean reversion. I'm going to put together a playlist as well for you guys, so that way you can look at the playlist, and then also you can look at this individually if you kind of already understand how order flow works, how gamma level works. You're just looking for a little bit more information to be able to assist you on making your trading decisions. Okay. This works on not just SPX, not just QQQ, IWM, Meta, Apple, Tesla. I have a lot of different tickers that you can actually utilize this on. It's not just on the ETFs. Also, as I mentioned earlier, if you were to trade futures, right, you can have your SPX chart up, and then you can also have your ES chart up, right, to be able to gauge what it is that you're seeing. Now, I'm not currently trading futures. I've just been trading options, but you can utilize the same roadmap to buy the dips and sell the rips over here as well when you're using futures, right? Only thing you're going to use is you're just going to put the gamma levels in here, no different than what we did on SPX, right? You're going to use those same levels. And then as you see price either accepting or rejecting those same levels, then you're going to treat this stuff all the same, right? So then that way you have a little bit more idea of the direction that the market should be heading in and the way that it should be performing, right? No different than we see here, right? Pushed up here on ES, sold off, they bought the dip, pushed up, sold the rip, came back down, bought the dip, pushed up, sold the rip, right? It's the same exact thing. So if you're mirroring SPX and ES, QQQ and NQ, IWM and RTY, you're going to get the same exact thing. If you wanted to trade commodities, right, and you want to do gold, gold is going to give you the same information on GLD, and it's going to trade the same on GC. Same thing with silver, SLV and SIL, I believe. All right, so this data will help you to be able to actually identify stronger levels versus just kind of marking levels on your chart, right? You're getting the levels from the data that is actually provided by these services. Charles Schwab, Thinkorswim for the gamma, the GEX levels, right? Quanta Data for the gamma, the GEX levels. There are some more other services out here. Some are more expensive than others. I have used Traditix or Traditix, however you like to pronounce it, in the past. I think, me personally, I like the data that I can get strictly from the Thinkorswim platform and the Quant Data platform a lot better versus the Traditix or Traditix. It moves kind of more slower. This is kind of more up to speed, and what you, in my personal opinion, what you really want to kind of see as it's actually moving a little bit more speedier in real time. Like I said, this is $70 a month for the quant data, and as I mentioned before, the Charles Schwab is free, but I definitely think this will add a little bit more advantage to your trading due to the fact that we're not just drawing levels where we think price may reject from, right? We're actually using data to be able to put this together and come up with a more solid trading plan, and letting chat actually do a lot of the work for you, so that way it's taking more of a lot of pressure off of you, right? If you want to look for things that may have gapped up, gapped down, or anything like that, depending upon what you're looking for. What I also do in the morning time is I don't have it up because, like I said, I don't keep it up all the time. What I do is I go over here into my watch list on my settings, and then I click extended hours. Okay, when I click extended hours, you can see it just kind of shows small over here, but I do one way or the other, right? So I do up or I do down, right? And then that's going to change the way that the tickers are responding. Let me do this right quick to kind of get this off of here as well, because I think that may be making it move slow. Tad bit, I could be wrong. Okay, it's not giving me the extended hours, I guess probably because it's so late in the day. But typically what it does is it gives you the biggest ones that have moved up or down when you click that. So like I'll click the ones I'm looking for calls. The ones that moved up earlier was Coca-Cola. They had earnings today. Then I click that off, so then that way I know, okay, these are the ones that moved up. All right, so like earlier today, Coca-Cola was at up top. Workday was like kind of not too far behind it. And as we see here, this was Coca-Cola. When it opened, it dipped down, it pushed back up. You know what I'm saying? But it gave you the same gamma GEX levels for that as well this morning. And just to kind of show you guys as well, right? I didn't trade it, but I did pull it up just because out of curiosity. Let me see. I believe this was it, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, right here. Yep, so 871.31 after earnings beat, raised full guidance as well. I also inputted that into there. right? So it gave me a bullish earnings catalyst, overall gamma environment. It also gave me upside destination of $90, right? Dealer defense zones, dealer chase zones, sustained acceptance above $88 will move price beyond the immediate 87. Call gamma peak into a less concentrated area before $90. Strongest gamma wall, right? 85, 87. Critical break level 88. Okay, I believe also it gave us 90 was a strong gamma level. Okay, Quanta Data shows approximately 12 million GEX per 1% move. Next important upside mat after acceptance above 88. Okay, it gave us our dealer positioning, open interest, bullish breakout destination 88 followed by 89 and 90. Right, expected behavior where our targets 88, 89, and 90. Okay, and when we go back and look, right, our 90-ish area is exactly where it failed at, right? Because it gave us our targets was 88, 89, and then 90, right? Failed up there, pushed back down. So like I said, it doesn't matter if it's an earnings play, it can give you a possible direction and as far as how things may respond. So I think that kind of gives you guys all the information and data that you would need on how I typically use gamma, GEX, open interest, and volume in order to find the direction that I want to be trading in, so that way we're not just trading blind, we're actually utilizing data to enhance our trading, right? And then we're not spending a lot of time trying to figure it out on our own and break all this stuff down. We just plug it in, costs us $20 a month here, $70 a month over here, $90. But I mean, that's just a cost of doing business. To me, we're going to make way more than that in a day, right? And if you want to look at it on a smaller scale, 20 trading days a day, $5 a day. So if you're making, your whatever, your 200, 500, 1,000, 1,500, how much ever you're making a day, right? Okay, take $5 out of that and then put it towards, making sure that you have your $20 plus version of ChatGPT and $70 on Quanta Data in order to be able to assist you in your trading. And then that way it'll help you be a little bit more knowledgeable as far as where you want to see price heading to. I hope you guys enjoyed this video on how to use gamma and GEX in here. Okay, also before I do leave out, let me do this right quick. I'll show you guys the exact indicators that I'm using. Let's get rid of these levels, they'll be different tomorrow anyway. So a lot of things, some things I have created, I have turned off, I've subdued, I don't typically use anymore, because basically I just want to know where price is heading to and everything else. So the main things that I typically use is my volume spikes and VWAP bands, right? So if you go into your indicators and you type that in, volume spikes plus VWAP bands, it's an indicator by me. I pretty much have everything turned off except for current days and previous days VWAP. So if you go to style, like you say right here, daily VWAP with circles, previous daily VWAP with circles, everything else in here is literally turned off, right? Labels, values, inputs, that's on. Inputs here, only use value highs and lows. You don't even really honestly need that on because that's not being used. Show daily VWAP, show previous days VWAP, show circles on lines, default, show band extensions 1, that's not on either. I'm not even sure why that's checked, but it's not on because it's not showing from what I have on there. So all this stuff you leave the same here. My market strategies, levels, previous day, previous week, previous month. Okay, that's how we're getting these lines on our chart here. All right, so then that way we know where these zones are. Our previous day's low, where it did reject off of there from previous days and current days, that'll change up. Our previous week's low, right, our previous week's high. And if you scroll down more and more, we'll see our previous month's high and our previous month's low as well. Price does typically have reactions to those areas. And if you combine data with that, then that just gives you a stronger reason behind that. On here, everything is on, nothing has changed. My market strategies, absorption bubbles. You don't change anything on here, just leave everything as is. That's what's giving you these red and green dots as prices rejecting and then turning the opposite way. Lux algo fair value gaps, the SATI ATR, which kind of gives you as far as how much price has moved for the current day, 85% here, and the ATR as far as how much it actually trades. So like if you were using something smaller like Coca-Cola, it has an ATR of $1.68 something cents a day, right? Okay, so you can't expect to catch a $10 move out of something like that, even on the earnings, right? You might get 200%, even 250. Yes, that is possible, but if you're looking for bigger moves, then you have to find the tickers that has a larger ATR. Okay, my strat assistant. I said pretty much, I have the shapes turned off on there. Don't need the shapes. Have the bar color turned off because I don't like my colors of my candles changing. Everything else is the same besides the 2-up bar shape, the 2 bar shape, and the bar color. Everything else is as is. Also, I do utilize this tool right here. This is, I believe, the TTM Squeeze Pro. I'll just go here. Yep, TTM Squeeze Pro. That is by Birdie Fred. So what this does is it kind of lets you know when the squeeze is released. Okay, that will be identified by the green dot and the red bar. When it's weakening, it will be a green dot in yellow. It knows that, letting you know that that trend is kind of weakening, which you see it did weaken and push back up. The black dot there is kind of when it's transitioning. Okay, the aqua dot with the blue, aqua with the green dot is that it's released. But like I say, also the environment, right? Positive gamma environment. Selling the rips, buying the dips. Right, that was actually from the previous day, so let me just focus on current day. Right, so current day, push down. I say this is something that I utilize here and there, but the main thing is to identify the market conditions, right? Whether we're operating in positive gamma or negative gamma. It works. It's a little bit more reactive and responsive on the 5-minute time frame. This is a 30-minute chart. Here you see it push down. It did show that it was weakening here. Steady weakening. Then you see the flip. But that's why I said, like, I use this sometimes, but I will use it more on a 5-minute than a 30-minute. But I still do have it up on my 30-minute chart. And this is my market strategy strat volume bars, because even if you did not want to technically use the strat indicator, this still let you know that, okay, this is a 2 down because it's red. Yellow indecision, which is an inside bar, and then when this bar turns green, that's letting you know the price is pushed up, broken a high, indecision. 3 bar took out both sides, inside bar down, right? So then that way you can still know and use those as well. That will be it for this video. I say any of these indicators, you can just type in these words right here into your indicators section. And like I said, I will drop the links as well for the framework. That way it gives you that full layout of everything it gives me from ChatGPT. And then I will also give you the link that basically breaks down how gamma works, exposure strike by strike, something that I put together, so that way it gives you an understanding of how all this stuff works together. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Talk to you soon.